Hello, thank you for joining us. We begin our report with a weapons holdup. The Biden administration says it paused a shipment of bombs to Israel last week because of concerns that the Israeli military could use them in Rafah, where more than 1 million civilians are sheltering. The most prominent public rebuke of Israel's war strategy in Gaza, it also signals President Biden's growing frustration with Prime Minister Netanyahu. The U.S. withheld 1,800 2,000-pound bombs and 1,700 500-pound bombs. U.S. officials say they are also conducting a review of other weapons sales. For more on this, CBS News national security correspondent David Martin joins me from the Pentagon. David, thank you for being with us. Sure. Are Pentagon officials worried that Israel will use these specific missiles that they're holding back, or is it just a punishment of them for missiles that weren't going to be used immediately?
John, I think it's less a punishment and more of a warning not to go ahead with this major ground invasion of Rafah. These 2,500-pound bombs are the kinds of weapons that Israel has been using in its airstrikes, in its war against Hamas in Gaza, and they are the kinds of weapons that inevitably cause civilian casualties simply because of their destructive force. So even when they are accurately delivered onto the precise target, the collateral damage is such that it produces civilian casualties, and the U.S. is basically sending Israel a very specific warning that, okay, we say our support for your security is ironclad, but it is not unconditional.
And do we assume that, or do we know that Israel knew this was coming and went ahead anyway with their current actions?
Well, I think Israel found out about this when the shipment didn't arrive on time. So, and what they've gone ahead with here is not the full-scale invasion. What they went ahead with was the seizure of the Rafah crossing point and the dropping of leaflets and sending out of messages to 100,000 Palestinians that they needed to evacuate the area. But if this were to be a full-scale invasion, the number of Palestinian civilians that would have to be evacuated would be over 1 million.
And the president just approved money that Congress appropriated for Israel. Is that in danger or up in the air now?
The administration says it is not, that these are weapons that come from previous arms sales that contracts have been signed for, and delivery is just now coming up. And that's what these bombs were. They had been contracted for a long time ago. They were on the tarmac, ready to take off, and the hole got put on them.
Do we have any sense of the Israeli military and whether they've got enough munitions? I guess it obviously depends on the scale of what they end up doing, but you know, are their stockpiles still sufficient that they could carry out whatever they wanted if America decided to be even more severe in its warning sending?
Well, you can imagine that militaries keep the size of their stockpiles as pretty closely held secrets, so we don't know exactly how many 500 and 2,000-pound bombs they have, but they have a stockpile. I doubt that holding up one shipment would make it impossible to launch a full-scale invasion of Rafah, but it might have an impact on Israel's ability to sustain the operation over time and still have enough stockpiles to deal with all its other enemies, for instance, Hezbollah on its northern border with Lebanon.
Right. David Martin at the Pentagon. Thank you so much, David.